He grabbed my wrist and whispered, "Please, if anyone finds out, my life is over." I promised silence. But the next morning, she climbed onto a biker's Harley and told him everything. What happened next destroyed more than one family. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I never thought my life would turn into the kind of story people whisper about. But here I am telling it because silence almost destroyed us all. It started on an ordinary night, the kind where nothing feels dangerous until it suddenly is. He sat across from me shaking, his hands clenched so tightly his knuckles were white. When he begged me to keep his secret, I thought he was asking for mercy, not control. His voice cracked as he said one sentence that still echoes in my head. "If she ever finds out, everything ends." I didn't ask what everything meant. I didn't need to. Fear has a sound, and it was loud in that room. I agreed because I believed loyalty meant protection. I believed secrets were sometimes necessary evils. Outside rain tapped against the windows like it was trying to warn me. I ignored it. I went home thinking I'd done the right thing. I told myself I was strong enough to carry this burden alone. What I didn't know was that secrets don't stay quiet. They rot, they grow teeth. And sometimes, the people you trust most are already riding toward the truth, engines roaring, ready to burn everything down. The next morning felt wrong before anything even happened. My phone buzzed nonstop, but I ignored it, convincing myself peace required distance. I replayed his begging in my head, wondering how someone so confident could fall apart so fast. That's when I saw her. She stood at the curb, helmet under her arm, eyes hard, jaw locked. A biker pulled up beside her, leather jacket creaking as he killed the engine. The sound alone felt like a threat. She didn't look scared, she looked decided. I later learned she'd known something was off for weeks. Late nights, half-truths. Silence where explanations should have been. She didn't come to me. She went to him. The biker wasn't just a friend, he was her brother, and loyalty ran in his blood thicker than fear ever could. When she leaned in and told him the secret, she didn't cry. She didn't hesitate. She chose truth over protection. That choice set off a chain reaction no one could stop. The biker's face changed as he listened, calm turning into something colder. He nodded once like a man accepting a mission. That was the moment everything shifted. I realized my promise meant nothing anymore. The secret had found its wheels, and it was riding straight into confrontation. By the time I reached home, the air felt heavy, like a storm waiting for permission to break. I kept checking the window, half expecting headlights to appear. Guilt pressed into my chest because I knew staying silent made me part of the lie. He called me 3 times. I didn't answer. The 4th call came with a text. "Did you tell her?" That's when I understood fear had turned into desperation. I replied with one word. No. It was technically true I hadn't told her, but the truth had escaped anyway. The biker arrived first. He didn't knock. He stood there, arms crossed, eyes steady, not angry but controlled, which was worse. He asked simple questions. Yes or no. No room for excuses. When he left, he said something I'll never forget. Secrets don't belong to cowards. An hour later, she showed up. Tears finally fell, but not from weakness. They came from betrayal. She looked at me like I'd chosen a side. Maybe I had. She told me he'd confessed everything once he realized the biker knew. The begging, the lies, the manipulation, all exposed. I felt small, realizing my silence protected the wrong person. The storm finally broke that night, and no one stayed dry. He didn't come home that night. Instead, messages flooded in from people I didn't even know, all connected by rumors moving faster than truth ever does. The biker had spoken, and when bikers speak, people listen. It wasn't about violence. It was about accountability. He'd taken the secret and stripped it of its power by telling it out loud. She called me near dawn. Her voice was calm in a way that scared me. She said she was done protecting lies that never protected her. I asked if she was safe. She laughed softly and said, "I'm finally honest." That hurt more than anger ever could. He showed up the next day looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. The man who begged now demanded to know why I didn't stop it. That's when I realized something important. People who beg for silence often expect control, not loyalty. I told him the truth, that secrets aren't cages for others to live in. He left without another word. Later, I learned he'd lost more than trust. Friends cut him off. Work opportunities vanished. Not because of revenge, but because people don't like realizing they've been standing beside a lie. The biker never threatened him. He didn't need to. Truth did the damage on its own. Weeks passed, but the aftermath lingered like smoke in my lungs. I replayed every moment wondering when I should have spoken up. Silence felt safer at first, but safety built on fear always collapses. She met me once more, not to accuse, but to understand. We sat across from each other, the space between us filled with things unsaid. She admitted telling the biker wasn't about revenge. It was about survival. She needed someone strong enough to handle the truth without asking her to bury it. That hit me hard. I thought strength meant endurance. She taught me it meant honesty. The biker never contacted me again, but his presence remained like a warning sign I couldn't ignore. I realized secrets don't just hurt the people they're about, they poison everyone who touches them. He tried to rebuild his life quietly, but trust doesn't regenerate overnight. Every closed door reminded him of what begging for silence had cost. I stopped answering messages asking why things ended the way they did. The truth was simple but uncomfortable. Silence helped the lie breathe. Speaking suffocated it. I learned that day that loyalty without integrity is just fear wearing a friendly face. And fear, no matter how softly it speaks, always asks for more. Time has a strange way of clarifying what emotions blur. Months later, I understood my role more clearly. I wasn't the villain, but I wasn't innocent either. Silence is a decision, even when it feels passive. I ran into the biker once at a gas station. He nodded at me, nothing more. No hostility, no judgment, just acknowledgement. That was somehow worse than anger. It meant he saw me as human, flawed, learning. I heard he told his sister one thing that stuck with her. Truth hurts once, lies hurt every day. She carried that with her as she rebuilt her life piece by piece. New job, new boundaries. He tried reaching out again, asking for forgiveness, asking me to explain things to her. I refused. Not because I hated him, but because growth doesn't come from rewriting consequences. He'd beg me to keep his secret, but secrets don't deserve protection when they steal someone else's peace. That realization changed how I live. I stopped keeping things that weren't mine to carry. People noticed. Some respected it, some didn't. But I slept better. In the end, the biker wasn't the destroyer. He was the mirror. And sometimes mirrors are the most dangerous things of all. I used to believe loyalty meant choosing people over principles. Now I know that's backwards. Principles protect people even when it hurts. The story spread quietly, not as gossip, but as a lesson passed between whispers. People stopped asking me to keep secrets that felt wrong. Maybe they sensed I wouldn't agree anymore. She sent me a message 1 year later. Just 3 words. I'm free now. I stared at my phone for a long time before replying. I'm glad, and I meant it. The biker had moved on too, writing with purpose, not anger. He never bragged about what he did. He didn't have to. The truth stood on its own. As for him, I heard he finally admitted out loud what he once hid. Not to fix things, but to stop running. That's the cruel irony of secrets. They promise safety but deliver isolation. I tell this story now because someone listening might be holding a secret that's eating them alive. You think silence is kindness. You think you're protecting someone. But ask yourself who's really being protected. Because when the truth comes out, and it always does, it chooses its own messenger. And sometimes that messenger arrives on 2 wheels, engine roaring, reminding everyone that honesty doesn't need permission. People often ask me if I regret promising silence. The answer is complicated. I regret not questioning the cost. Regret assuming loyalty meant obedience. That experience taught me to pause when someone says, "You can't tell anyone." What they're really asking is whether you're willing to carry their consequences. She never blamed me outright, but her healing required distance. And I respected that. Watching her reclaim her life showed me what courage actually looks like. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. Sometimes it's simply refusing to lie anymore. The biker became a symbol in my mind, not of intimidation, but of clarity. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He didn't negotiate with wrong. He listened, then acted. That's rare. I changed how I respond to people after that. I started saying, I can't promise silence, but I can promise honesty. Some people walked away. Others stayed. Those who stayed were worth it. Secrets shrink the world. Truth expands it even when it hurts. That's the lesson hidden inside this mess. Not all betrayals come from speaking. Some come from staying quiet. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let the truth ride where it needs to go, no matter how loud the engine sounds. There's a moment right before truth surfaces where everything feels suspended. Looking back, I recognize that feeling clearly now. It's the calm before exposure. I ignored it then. I don't anymore. This story isn't about bikers or betrayal alone. It's about responsibility, about understanding that secrets have weight and not everyone is meant to carry them. When he begged, he wasn't asking for help. He was asking for cover. That distinction matters. She didn't betray him by telling. He betrayed her by creating the secret in the first place. The biker simply refused to let it fester. People love blaming messengers, but messages exist whether delivered or not. I've told this story to friends and most admit they've been in my position at least once. Holding something heavy, afraid to drop it, I tell them this. If a secret requires someone else's silence to survive, it probably shouldn't survive. That realization is uncomfortable, but necessary. Silence isn't neutral, it shapes outcomes. In my case, silence delayed the inevitable and deepened the wounds. Truth hurt, but it healed faster than lies ever could. That's the part no one tells you. Today, when I think about that night, I don't feel anger anymore. I feel clarity. Everyone played their part, and every choice had a consequence. He begged. I stayed silent. She spoke. The biker listened. The truth emerged. That sequence couldn't have ended any other way. If I could speak to my past self, I wouldn't shame them. I'd simply say, ask better questions. Who does this protect? Who does it harm? Silence feels easy, but it's rarely free. This story lives with me as a reminder that honesty isn't cruelty and truth isn't betrayal. Sometimes, it's the only exit from a burning room. She found her exit. So did I, eventually. He's still searching, and I hope he finds peace without hiding. The biker rides on, unaware of how many lives he shifted simply by refusing to ignore reality. If you're listening and holding a secret that feels too heavy, ask yourself whether it's yours to keep. Because when truth finally comes out, it won't ask who promised what. It will only ask who was brave enough to stop lying.